This is the story of how my best friend of 11 years, my maid of honor, practically my sister, stole my boyfriend, and how I found out, and what I did about it. On her wedding day. Long pause. Let's that land. Yeah, buckle up. Okay, first you need to understand who Maya is. Is. I don't even know what tense to use anymore, honestly. Maya and I met in 7th grade. I was 12 years old, new to the school, wearing this absolutely tragic butterfly clip. I have photos, it was bad. And she just walked up to me in the cafeteria, sat down across from me and said, "You look like you don't know anybody." Neither do I. We should be best friends. Just like that. No awkwardness. No build-up. Just decided. And honestly, that was Maya. That was her whole personality. She decided things. She walked into rooms and rearranged them. Not in an aggressive way, in this magnetic, confident, just completely herself kind of way that made you feel like the sun was shining specifically on you when she paid attention to you. I was obsessed with her. As a friend, I mean. Completely, totally devoted. We did everything together. We survived middle school together, which, if you've been through middle school, you know that's basically surviving a war. We did high school together. We were roommates our sophomore year of college. That almost ended the friendship, honestly, because she is a night person and I am not, and she once reorganized my entire bookshelf at 2 a.m., just because it felt unbalanced. But we survived that too. By the time we were in our mid-20s, Maya was the person I called when I got a promotion. She was the person I called when I got rejected. She was the person I called at 11 p.m. when I couldn't sleep and just needed someone to be on the other end of the line. I was the same for her. I was there for her breakups, her anxiety spirals, her job disasters. I flew across the country once, because she texted me, "I'm not okay," and I just got on a plane. 11 years. 11 years of being each other's person. I need you to understand that, because nothing else about this story will make any sense if you don't understand how real that friendship was. How deep it went. Pause. Expression shifts slightly. Sadder. Because here's the thing about loving someone that much. It makes you blind to things you probably shouldn't be blind to. It makes you explain away things that maybe shouldn't be explained away. And I explained a lot of things away. I should probably introduce the other main character in this story. His name was, okay, I'm going to call him Daniel. That's not his real name, but it's close enough that it'll feel real, which matters for the story. I met Daniel when I was 24. We were at a mutual friend's birthday party, and he was the one who showed up with a truly extraordinary cheese board like this man brought fig jam to a casual Saturday night party, and I thought, okay, I see you. I see what you're doing here. We dated for just over 3 years. 3 years is a long time. That's not a fling. That's not something casual. That's a whole chapter of your life. That's building routines and inside jokes and knowing exactly how someone takes their coffee, and what they look like at 7 a.m., and what makes them laugh until they can't breathe. I loved him. I really truly loved him. And I introduced him to Maya about 2 months in. Another pause. Eyes go somewhere distant for a second. They got along great. Of course they did. I remember thinking, perfect. My best friend loves my boyfriend. My boyfriend loves my best friend. This is what it's supposed to look like. This is the dream, right? Everyone in your life fitting together like puzzle pieces. I was so stupid. I don't mean that harshly. I mean it with genuine heartbreak for the version of me who was sitting there at that dinner table watching the two people she loved most in the world laughing at the same joke and thinking, this is perfect. Okay, so here's where I have to be really honest with you guys. Because I've thought about this so much, I've turned it over in my head about 1,000 times, and I think the thing that haunts me most isn't what they did. It's how long I didn't see it. Or, more accurately, how long I saw things and chose not to see them. Takes a breath. Let me walk you through the timeline because the timeline matters. So it's about 1.5 years into my relationship with Daniel. Things are good. We're talking about moving in together. I'm happy in that quiet, steady kind of way where you're not doing dramatic romantic gestures anymore. You're just building a life. You know? And Maya around this time is going through something. She'd just gotten out of a serious relationship, a guy named Aiden who was genuinely wrong for her in every possible way, but she'd been with him for 2 years and the breakup was brutal, and she was in this kind of lost, untethered place. So naturally I was being her person. Lots of late night calls. Lots of come over, we'll watch movies. Lots of leaning on me. And Daniel was supportive of that. He was great about it, actually. He knew Maya mattered to me and he never made me feel guilty for showing up for her. But then, okay, little thing number one. I came home one afternoon. I'd been at my mom's for the weekend, nothing special. And when I walked in, Daniel was on the phone. And the second I walked through the door, he kind of startled and ended the call quickly. And I asked who it was just casually and he said, "Oh, just a work thing," and went back to whatever he was doing. Now, individually, that is nothing. That is literally nothing. People end phone calls. People have work calls. I'm not telling you that was this massive red flag on its own, but I want you to file it away. Because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you all the little things I filed away and told myself were nothing. Little thing number two. A couple months later, Maya and I are having dinner, just the two of us, and I'm venting about something small. Some disagreement Daniel and I had, nothing serious, and Maya says completely casually, "Yeah, he mentioned he was stressed about that." And I said, "He mentioned? When did you talk to Daniel?" And she kind of paused and then said something like, "Oh, I ran into him getting coffee last week, we chatted for like 5 minutes." And then changed the subject so smoothly that I literally forgot to follow up on it. Filed it away. Told myself it was nothing. Little thing number three. I was borrowing Maya's laptop one afternoon. My charger had died, very dramatic, very inconvenient. And I opened a new browser tab and her Gmail was open. I wasn't snooping. I genuinely was not snooping. I was literally about to close it to give her privacy. But the preview line of the most recent email was visible. And the sender name was Daniel's last name. I closed the laptop. I told myself they're friends. Of course they email sometimes. That's normal. You're being paranoid. You're being that girl. Don't be that girl. I was not being that girl. But here's the thing I keep coming back to, and I want to be really honest about this because I think it's important. I think part of me knew. On some level. In some deep, uncomfortable place that I didn't want to look at. I knew. And I chose every single time to put it back in the drawer and close it. Because if it was true, if what I was starting to suspect was even close to true, then I wasn't just losing a boyfriend. I wasn't just losing a relationship. I was losing 11 years. And that felt impossible. It felt so impossible that my brain just refused to process it. So I didn't. Until I couldn't anymore. The thing that finally broke through was so small. Kills me how small it was. I was with Daniel, we were having a pretty normal evening, cooking dinner together, and his phone buzzed on the counter and I happened to glance over, not even on purpose, and I saw the notification preview. It was a text from Maya. And it said, "Did you tell her yet? You need to tell her." I just froze. I didn't say anything. I didn't even think anything at first. It was like my brain just went completely white and quiet. Daniel picked up his phone a few seconds later, saw that I'd seen it. I could tell from the way his face changed, and he just looked at me. And in that moment, in that single second, I saw everything. I saw the phone call he'd ended quickly. I saw the email. I saw Maya's face at that dinner table. I saw all the little things I'd been filing away for months. And I felt the floor drop out from under me. I asked him to tell me. I don't know where I found the composure to do that. To just stand there in my kitchen holding a wooden spoon and say calmly, "Tell me what?" He looked like he was going to be sick. And then he told me. I'm going to give you the summary version because the full version took about 2 hours and involved a lot of crying and a lot of very loud talking that my neighbors definitely heard. And I've already replayed it in my head about 400 times and I don't need to do it again in detail. The summary is, he and Maya had been talking, texting, calling for about 5 months. It had started as him checking in on her during the Aiden breakup, just being a supportive friend of a friend. Or so he told himself. It had turned into something more than that. They hadn't, and he was very emphatic about this, and I have chosen to believe it because not believing it would genuinely break something in me that I can't afford to break. They hadn't been physically unfaithful. But emotionally was a whole different story. He told me he had feelings for her. That it had crept up on him. Which is the most infuriating phrase in the English language, by the way. It crept up on me. As if your emotional choices are just sneaking around your house and you're an innocent bystander, and that he'd been trying to figure out how to tell me. He wasn't a villain. I want to say that because I think it's true. He was someone who made a terrible choice and then didn't have the courage to confront it for 5 months. That's not villainy. That's cowardice. And cowardice is somehow worse in a way because it's so much more human. The Daniel part of this story ends there more or less. The Maya part of this story does not. For the next 4 months, Maya and I didn't talk. I want to describe what that felt like, because I think it's something that people who haven't lost a best friend don't fully understand. It's not like a breakup with a romantic partner, although it has elements of that. It's not like losing a family member, although it has elements of that too. It's like losing a language. You know how sometimes you have a whole private vocabulary with your best friend? Like there are references in shorthand and jokes that literally no one else would understand that are just the two of you? A whole internal language built over years? When you lose that person, you still carry that language. And there's no one to speak it to. I'd have moments, something funny would happen or something terrible, and my first instinct would be to text Maya. And then I'd remember. And it was like hitting a wall that I kept forgetting was there. Every single time. I was going through it with a grief that I didn't have the right vocabulary for, because the world doesn't really give you a script for this particular kind of loss. When your partner cheats on you with your best friend, everyone knows how to comfort you about the partner. The best friend part is harder. The best friend part people kind of don't know what to do with. I also, and I'm not proud of this part but I'm being honest, I also went through a phase of really dark, angry thoughts. Like not dangerous but just, I'd lie in bed at night and imagine all the things I could do. All the ways I could blow up her life the way she'd blown up mine. I didn't do any of them. Mostly because I was too sad to act on any of it. But the thoughts were there. And then, about 4 months into the silence, I got a text from a mutual friend of ours named Priya. And the text said, "Did you know Maya is engaged?" Long pause. Looks at camera. I did not know Maya was engaged. I had no idea that in the 4 months since everything fell apart she and Daniel had become. Had moved that fast. Were planning a future. I sat with that information for a long time. I'm not going to pretend it didn't destroy me a little bit. It did. It's the kind of news that hits you in multiple places at once. Your pride, your grief, your sense of reality. Because part of me had been quietly hoping that whatever they had was messy and short-lived. That it had been a moment of weakness and it hadn't amounted to anything. But an engagement means it amounted to something. It meant she built something on the wreckage of what I lost. Priya, bless her heart, also sent me something else. Maya had gotten engaged 3 weeks prior. And the wedding was already planned. Fast, right? I thought so too. But here's the part that Priya very carefully included in that text chain. She said, "I just thought you should know." And I thought, yeah, I should know. 3 weeks after I found out about the engagement, I got a wedding invitation in the mail. A physical invitation. In an envelope. With a wax seal. I held it for a very long time before I opened it. I want to be clear. I don't know if Maya sent it out of genuine desire for me to be there, some kind of twisted wish for my blessing, an olive branch, or just because she didn't update her mailing list. I genuinely don't know which it was. But it was there. In my hands. My name on the envelope, her handwriting. And inside a little card with her and Daniel's names and a date 6 weeks away. I almost threw it away. I almost threw it in the recycling bin, not even the trash, the recycling bin, because she absolutely does not deserve to be my trash, and moved on with my life. But something stopped me. Here's the thing I haven't told you yet. There's something I knew about Maya and Daniel's relationship, something I'd found out through the grapevine in those 4 months of silence, that Maya, as far as I could tell, didn't know that I knew. Something that changed the picture. See, when I thought it was just an emotional affair, messy, painful, but the result of 2 people who developed real feelings, I was devastated, but I could eventually understand it. People fall for people. It's terrible and it causes enormous damage, but I could see the human in it. But then Priya again, my girl, she's the real MVP of this story. Priya told me something else. She told me that it hadn't started with Daniel. It had started earlier. A lot earlier. Maya had apparently, according to 2 separate people who had absolutely no reason to make this up, been interested in Daniel since I first introduced them. Not just passing interest. She talked about it. To other people. In our friend group, while I was with him. While I was building a life with someone who I loved, she had been in the background, actively hoping it would fall apart. And when it didn't fall apart on its own, she helped it along. That changed things for me. That wasn't falling. That was choosing. Over and over again across months, maybe longer, choosing to pursue something that she knew would hurt me. and standing at her wedding smiling while she got to keep what she took. No. I went. I want you to know that I spent weeks debating this. I talked to my therapist about it. I talked to Priya about it. I almost backed out 17 times. But I went. The venue was beautiful, by the way. I say that with absolutely no warmth. It was a gorgeous old estate with ivy on the walls and these long white cloth tables and floating candles and all the things that Maya had probably dreamed about since she was 16 years old. She looked beautiful. I need to say that too because it's true and I'm not going to pretend it isn't. She was wearing this off-shoulder dress and her hair was down and she looked exactly like the kind of bride you'd see in a magazine. And Daniel looked exactly like Daniel. Which is to say, good-looking and completely unable to make eye contact with me. I sat in the back. I dressed to be invisible, navy dress, nothing remarkable. The goal was not to be memorable until I needed to be. The ceremony started. It was a typical ceremony. Vows. Readings. The officiant said beautiful things about love and commitment and trust and I sat there very still and very quiet and felt absolutely nothing except a very specific, very cold clarity. And then they got to the part of the ceremony that some officiants do. The speak now or forever hold your peace part. Not every ceremony has it. A lot of modern ceremonies cut it. This one didn't. I stood up. I want to be very careful about how I describe what happened next because I've told this story to a few people and everyone has a very strong reaction. And I want to be honest about what I actually said and did rather than let it become something it wasn't. I didn't yell. I didn't make a scene in the dramatic movie-style way. I didn't throw anything. I stood up and the whole room turned to look at me and I saw Maya's face. I saw the exact moment she registered who was standing up, because she'd seen me come in but I think she'd convinced herself I was just there to watch, and her face went completely white. And I said, I'm sorry. I need to say something and then I'll leave and you can go on with your day. I promise. The room was so quiet. Daniel's face had gone a very interesting color. And I looked at Maya. Not at anyone else, just at her, and I said, you told me once that the reason we were best friends was because I was the only person who always told you the truth. Even when it was hard. Even when you didn't want to hear it. You said that was the thing you loved about me. So here's the truth. You didn't fall into this. You chose it. 100 times over months you chose it. And I think before you make the biggest commitment of your life, you and Daniel should be honest with each other about that. About what you both actually chose. Because a marriage built on what you built this on deserves to be looked at clearly. I hope you're happy. I genuinely do. But I need you to have actually earned that. And I needed to say this. So now I have. And I walked out. I've thought a lot about whether it was the right thing to do. I want to be honest about that. It was not a clean, cathartic, empowering moment. It felt surreal and terrifying and I cried in my car for about 40 minutes after. I don't know what happened after I left. I don't know if they continued the ceremony. I don't know what was said. Priya texted me later that there was a significant delay and some tense conversations, but that the wedding did eventually happen. So, they're married. I'm at peace with that. Sort of. I'm working on it. What I'm actually at peace with is that I didn't stay silent. Because staying silent for me would have meant agreeing that what happened was just fine. That it could just be quietly buried and we all move on and she gets the life and I just absorb the loss. And I couldn't do that. Was it messy? Yes. Was it the most composed and elegant revenge fantasy? Absolutely not. Was it exactly what I needed to say? Yeah, think it was. So, that's the story. It's been several months now. I've done a lot of therapy, a lot of really good, hard, uncomfortable therapy, and I've thought about friendship and love and trust and what we choose and what we tell ourselves we didn't choose, and I've come out the other side of it with a few things that I hold on to. 1. I was not wrong to love her that much. That kind of friendship was real. It was precious. The fact that she damaged it doesn't erase what it was. I refused to let grief rewrite the whole thing into something that was never good. It was good. And then it wasn't. Both things are true. 2. I don't think I'll ever be fully not sad about it. I think there will always be a soft bruise there. And I've decided that's okay. You don't have to be completely healed to be okay. You can carry something and still be okay. 3. I'm genuinely fine. Like, not performatively fine. Actually fine. I have good people around me. I have Priya, who is, as previously established, an absolute icon. I have my therapist. I have a life that I'm building and liking, and I have weirdly a lot of clarity about what I actually want in friendships, in relationships, in all of it that I didn't have before. So if you're looking for a silver lining, that's mine. Hard-earned and real and mine. Pause. Looks at camera one more time. I don't hate Maya. I've tried and I can't sustain it, and I don't think it would help me even if I could. I miss who she was to me, or who I thought she was. And I hope someday, not now but someday, she and I can be in a room together without it feeling like standing in the wreckage of something. But that's a future problem. For now I'm here. I'm okay. And I finally told the story. Thank you for listening. Really. It means a lot. If you've ever been through something like this, a betrayal that came from someone you never expected it from, I see you. It's a specific kind of hurt and it's valid, and you're not dramatic for feeling it as deeply as you do. Drop a comment if you want to talk about it. I read them, and I'll see you in the next one.